So in some of our previous videos, we've talked about some of the challenges faced in the construction industry and some of the challenges that we're currently facing in the current economic climate. Today, we want to hone in on 4 challenges that are very relevant in today's market. So the first challenge that we face in the construction industry is poor productivity. This stems or results from poor planning, whether that's in the pre-construction stage or in the mobilisation and construction stages of a project. It could be design issues that arise during construction that perhaps haven't been fully considered during the pre-construction stages or the design development stages in construction. Adversarial relationships, friction between the various stakeholders, whether that's project managers, the contractor, the client. There's information flow, which is a really big one, receiving the information that aligns with the schedules, whether that's procurement schedules, design schedules, construction schedules. And then we have things like inclement weather that affects productivity on construction projects. And then unforeseen things like machinery and plant and the likes breaking down or not being delivered on schedule. So some of the ways that we can improve poor productivity in construction is firstly through better communication. And one of the ways that we could look to do that is through really good communication plans. So that's around who's communicating with whom and when, identifying key stakeholders, and just making sure that generally in the project everyone understands who's involved and who needs to be consulted, informed, or otherwise. In conjunction with that, we could look at things like MMC, which is modern methods of construction, and modular. So that's looking at things where we can look at construction elements and components that are manufactured off site in sort of factory conditions, if you like, to take away some of the issues that we previously identified, such as weather being one of them, and planning and scheduling. A third solution could be around when we're doing project schedules and project plans is basing this on data, good information, whether that's from past projects or whether that's from present data on the project, rather than just sitting in isolation and putting together sort of schedules on experience, if you like, only. And lastly, the use of technology and software can greatly enhance productivity through immediate access to information, data that's relevant to the project. Inflation has really gone up and sort of unprecedented rates since the COVID pandemic. To give a really good sort of example, reinforcement bars that are used within concrete, they've gone up by 48.5% from the January average through to the second quarter in 2022. So it's a really sort of high rise. And this has led to longer lead-in periods, so having to think about procuring materials a lot earlier than perhaps we would have previously. General material shortages, because obviously then people are planning ahead and maybe buying in bulk, as well as contractors and subcontractors, trade contractors, only holding their quotations for a limited period of time, and in some instances down to 24 hours. So some of the ways that we could look to try to manage the inflation issue that we are facing in construction at the moment. First would be, which may seem obvious but isn't done in all instances, is to actually build in inflation in budgets. So when your cost consultant is preparing the early order of cost estimate, this is the ideal opportunity for them to base their base date on the cost estimate projected through to where the project's going to be tendered, and even, depending on the size of the project, to midpoint construction. So we can build in a level of inflation. Secondly, would be to look at those materials, elements that are more susceptible to inflation. So things like steel prices, we just talked about reinforcement bars in concrete, those type of elements, we can deal with those at the tender stage. So they're the type of thing that we can have those discussions with the contractor and try to build those into either the contract or recognise that there is a risk associated with those inflations. That's another way we can manage it. We can also, something that hasn't been used for quite a while, is fluctuation provisions in the contracts. So again, given the current market, given a project team that's been very realistic about what's been tendered and what needs to be constructed, it would just seem a really good idea to start considering fluctuation clauses again. And then lastly, and something that doesn't happen enough for my liking, is negotiating with a contractor. Transparent, open book, open and honest conversations around what things cost, what they're likely to cost, what the risks are with the elements we've just discussed, and build those in to moving forward with the construction project. One naturally thinks about poor performance being the contractor on site, which is somewhat unfair. But if we look at three of the sort of key components of a project, being budget and budget overrun from poor performance, time, and that's time overrun. That's not just the construction stage. That's also missing key milestones during the pre-construction stage, as well as quality of not just the end product, although that's what we tend to focus mostly on, but also quality of service. In terms of trying to manage poor performance, whether we're looking at the budget or time, we must, at the very initial stage, nail the client brief. And then we must, as part of that briefing process, we must also nail the scope and fix the scope. That then allows the team from that point moving forward to manage the project within a fixed client brief and a fixed scope, and where things do change, then implement change management processes. This allows the project team to then develop a cost plan that develops the budget, as well as a project program or schedule that then starts to plan out the pre-construction and construction stages. These sort of key processes effectively then allow the project manager or a key responsibility holder within the project team to then monitor the budget and time as the project develops. In terms of the construction duration, it's a really good idea that the project team, if uncertain during the pre-construction stages, get early engagement from the contractor and get a second opinion on, what the likely construction duration may be, as well as any unique methodologies that will be implemented. For the construction stage duration, it's always a good idea to get early engagement from the contractor to get a second opinion. Quality also is a big issue that we face in construction in terms of the end product. Implementing good test and inspection plans and quality assurance regimes, whether that's a clerk of works, a residential engineer or other, would really help to enhance quality and also hold those responsible accountable by knowing that there's a third person or a third party undertaking quality checks. This isn't a new problem, and it is a challenge that we need to overcome. The CITB have recognised that we need 217,000 new workers in construction by 2025, and this has been a result of many things, such as an ageing population, people leaving the industry as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as in the current market, really high wage demands. There are a few things that we can look at in terms of overcoming this issue of skill shortages within our construction industry. One of the key issues that we face is the image of the construction industry. And I think there's a general perception when people envisage what the construction industry might look like is muddy sites, lots of machinery and plant and what have you. And they don't necessarily appreciate that that is a small component of construction, and one still worthy of a career or a trade in construction, I need to add. But construction is far more vast than that. And I think we need to portray all the different careers and opportunities that construction give us, from design to town planning, to engineering, to project management, to commercial and quantity surveying. It's a really vast industry, as well as all the various different trades. So we really need to paint a different picture of what construction really is, and the benefits that construction bring to overall society and communities. Additionally, we need to entice the younger generation into construction, and one of the ways we can do that is with the introduction of some of the technology that we've seen in construction over recent years. BIM's a great example, as well as augmentation and virtual reality. And we also need to focus on retention within construction industry. A lot of skill shortages is focused on recruitment and new people coming into construction, but we really need to retain the good people we have in construction. And bringing this all together, what it means is we need to make construction a really great career choice. So I hope you found value in this video. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us, and we really look forward to hearing from you.